Hi, I'm Miss Dara from the Rogers Public Library, and today we're celebrating Chinese New Year. So Chinese New Year is a festival celebrating the new year on the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar was an ancient calendar that functioned as a religious, dynastic, and social guide to the lives of the Chinese. So it wasn't a fixed calendar, but it changed according to either the emperor or the region that it was in. So Chinese New Year usually starts with the new moon that happens between the end of January and the end of February. So it lasts about 15 days and ends when the full moon arrives, which starts the Festival of Lanterns. Chinese New Year traditionally is a time to honor households and heavenly deities and ancestors. It's like many celebrations around the world. It's a time when families come together and they like to eat, like we all do, right? Chinese New Year is celebrated in China and around the world. One of the largest Chinese New Year celebrations outside of China actually happens in the United States, and it happens in San Francisco, and it started around the 1860s during the gold rush. Chinese New Year celebrations, people celebrate in many different ways. It was like the most important celebration of the year for Chinese families, and so they stopped their everyday lives to celebrate. Home and family become the focus of families during that time, and all the businesses closed. To prepare for the celebration, houses were cleaned from top to bottom, and this was because of the bad spirits that could have collected during the year. And so they believed that if they cleaned it, they actually cleaned out all those bad spirits. People also believed that if they cleaned their house from top to bottom, it would appease the gods that would come to inspect the house to see if it was cleaned. People also offered sacrifices and food and paper icons to the gods and set off firecrackers to scare away bad spirits. People also gave money to children during this time. So kind of like Christmas presents, I guess. Rituals were very important because they believed that it would bring good luck to the households and give the families long lives. Some of the rituals included feasting. Fish was served as the last course, but it was a symbol of abundance, and so you didn't eat it. During the first 5 days of the new year, people ate noodles, and you didn't want to cut the noodles because it symbolized long life, and if you were cutting it, you were cutting your life short. Also, on the final day, you ate round dumplings as a sign of a family unity and perfection. In 1996, China started a week-long holiday that they call the Spring Festival. This gives people a chance to go home and celebrate the new year. They, like us at Christmas time, spend a lot of money on the new year buying firecrackers and food and stuff, and they just use this time to enjoy a vacation and time off and to be with family. So that's a little bit about Chinese New Year, and so now we'll do some crafts.
Hey guys, it's Miss Myra. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make 2 different crafts that you guys will be able to pick up with other things as well. The first one is this headband. It's an ox because this year it is the year of the ox. And it's cute and simple to make. It's adorable. Also a fan with an ox. And it's super simple to make as well and cute. And you guys will have the option to make an ox or a dragon. Okay, let's get started. So you will receive the 2 pieces that you will put together. So you will have to color it. And then after you color it, you guys can glue it like this. You will glue it right here, or you can staple it. And I'm going to staple it. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the other end and staple it. Like I said, you guys can use glue, but you will have to wait for that to dry before you use it. And there you go. So first color it and make it super cool, and then put it together, okay? So next craft, the fan. What we did was we painted half of a paper plate, because this is how you are going to receive it, and you are going to paint it however you want. I did red in the middle and gold all around, and you will also receive an ox and a dragon and some sequins that you guys can use to decorate. Okay, so first, paint it or color. You guys can use markers or crayons to decorate it. You guys can do it however you want. So I painted mine, and now I am going to glue my ox because I am going to use the ox. I am just gonna glue it in the middle. Okay, after you glue your ox or dragon, you will decorate it with sequins. So I am going to glue the sequins around. Then you will have to wait for it to dry. I glued some sequins around. And then once that is dry, you guys can glue the popsicle sticks so you guys can hold your fan. And that will take a while to dry. So first glue your popsicle sticks together and make an X. That will take a while to dry, just like that. And then when that is dry, you will glue it on to the paper plate, just like that. And there you go. It will look like this. Like I said, you guys can decorate it however you want. Okay? Thanks for watching.
Hello, I'm Miss Kristen, and I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about the Chinese Zodiac and the 12 Zodiac animals, and this year for Chinese New Year, the year of the ox. The origins or beginnings of the Chinese Zodiac go back to approximately 2,000 years ago, possibly due to zoology, or the worship of animals that was part of the culture at the time, and the Zodiac and the animals of the Zodiac have been part of the Chinese culture ever since. The Chinese Zodiac is made up of 12 animals. The legend goes that the Jade Emperor invited all of these animals to his house, possibly for a banquet and for a race, and the order that the animals arrived are the order that they are listed in the Zodiac. That order is the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit, then the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, and the pig. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world did a rat beat an ox, a tiger, a rabbit, a dragon, a snake, a horse, a goat, a monkey, a rooster, a dog, and a pig? Most of those animals seem like they would be able to beat a rat, right? Well, the story says that the rat met up with the oxen at the beginning of the race and made a deal. The rat agreed to sing encouraging songs to the oxen the whole way through the race if the oxen would carry the rat on his back. So the ox agreed. And as the ox went in the race, carrying the rat on his back, the rat sang his encouraging songs, which helped the ox to gain and be the first in line to arrive, except just before the ox crossed the finish line to be the number one, the rat jumped down off the ox's back, landed in front of the ox across the finish line, and became the first animal. The ox then became the second. The tiger and the rabbit arrived soon after. The dragon could have been there sooner, but he took a detour to save a village that was flooding. The snake actually arrived at the same time as the dragon, but he was so small that he wasn't seen at first. The horse and the goat arrived together, and later the monkey, the rooster, and the dog all arrived together after helping a god in another country. The poor pig was last because his home was destroyed by a wolf, and the pig had to rebuild his home before he was able to get on with the race. So that is the story of how the 12 animals became the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac in that order. Now, each of the animals is assigned a year, and we rotate those years in sets of 12, of course, as there are 12 animals. So 2020 was the year of the rat, because the rat was first, and that is where we are right now. So 2021 will be the year of the ox, but that doesn't start until Chinese New Year, even though by our calendar, it's already 2021. The Chinese New Year is based on the lunar calendar, which means that it is not starting until the Chinese New Year this year, which is what our celebration is all about. Each of the animals have different characteristics that are said to belong to those animals and to the people that are born in the years of those animals. So in the case of this year, the year of the ox is considered to have several positive characteristics because it was such a valued animal in Chinese culture for all of the agricultural work that it does. So the ox is considered hardworking, honest. An ox does not look for praise or recognition for their work. They just do their work because that's what they think they should do, and they have such a good work ethic. They're logical, and they make excellent leaders. That's just a small look into the Chinese zodiac and the year of the ox, and so much more information is available. If you would like to learn more, ask your grown-ups or a librarian for help in finding more information. And I hope you enjoy our celebration.
Hi, I'm Miss Amy, and today we will be making a Chinese dragon puppet. This is so cool, and now I'll show you how to make it. In your craft packet, you will find a little baggie that contains 2 black and white pieces for our dragon. So here are mine already colored. You will find some crepe paper and some popsicle sticks. Alright, so once you've colored out your dragon head, you will start by picking out some colors for the middle part of your dragon. So I'm going to do 3 pieces of paper, and I'll be doing a red, a orange, and a yellow. So here is my dragon head, and now I'll flip it over and I'll start gluing one side of my crepe paper to the back of the dragon's head. And now I'll start gluing those other pieces on top of it. So I'll do them a little bit staggered so that you can see them behind my dragon while I'm playing with it. But if you want, you can put them all on the same line. So now that I've done that, and this is what it looks like right now, I'm going to take my dragon tail and I'll do the exact same thing. So I'll start gluing the other end of my crepe paper to the back of my dragon tail. Now that all 3 of my pieces of paper have been glued onto my dragon, I will take my popsicle sticks and I'll take some more glue and attach them to the bottom of both the head and the tail. All right, there we go. Just like that, we are done. Thank you so much for watching.
Guys, this is Shelby with the Rogers Public Library. So for Chinese New Year, I want to talk to you guys about a Chinese invention. This is actually one of China's 4 great inventions. So it's which are gunpowder, printing, compasses, and paper, which is what we're going to be doing today. And paper making is normally attributed to a member of the imperial court who lived in the 1st century AD named Sai Lun. But we know from archaeological evidence that there is actually paper dating back in China several centuries, the 8th century BC. But Sai Lun did make a lot of important improvements to the paper making process. We actually kind of have a recipe for what he put into his paper, which is hemp, which is a type of plant fiber that's used to make ropes and stuff, and then old fish nets, old rags, and mulberry bark. Right? So, and actually, historically speaking, so right now, most of the paper that we use today is made out of wood. But in the past, up until about the 19th century, is almost always made out of cotton and other plant fibers. Right? Okay. But what all these different fibers have in common is cellulose, which is a material that plants make that they use in their cell walls. And cellulose is made out of little groups of molecules called glucose. And glucose is just another name for sugar, right? But what makes cellulose so good for paper is that it has a lot of hydrogen and oxygen atoms in it. And these form pretty strong bonds with each other. They do something called hydrogen bonding. So when you overlap the fibers with each other, they have a tendency to stick together to form chemical bonds. And that's just what paper is, right? You have a bunch of cellulose fibers that get stuck together and then make a nice cool sheet, just like this. So to do this, we're using old newsprint. So you're gonna want to take newspaper and kind of tear it into strips about this big, maybe a little bit smaller. They don't need to be super tiny because what you do is you put them in water and you let them soak for at least a couple hours, but preferably overnight. And then you can put them in a blender or have an adult put them in a blender and blend them up for you. And you'll get this kind of gross mush, right? Let's see if I can get this stuff out. Right. Okay, so it's really dark because the newsprint has a lot of ink in it. And because of that, our finished product is also going to be kind of dark as well. But that's okay. So we have our newspaper mush in water. And that's the easy part. The hard part is getting a frame or a screen that you're going to be using to actually make the pieces of paper. So this is the first one I built. It's the same technique, right? I glued some sticks together and I stapled netting on top of the sticks, right? So that you can dip it in and then pick up the fiber, but not the water that's in it with it. If you have a picture frame, that's a lot easier than trying to make a frame yourself. But we had a lot of these little sticks, so I went ahead and made it. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of liquid starch to my water. This makes the paper a little bit less absorbent, and that means it's easier to write on. If you don't have liquid starch, the main ingredient in this is cornstarch, and you can make kind of a cornstarch water mixture, and that will help. So I'll mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. I get my screen, dip it in the water, and let's see. Ooh, this is a really thick. You don't want it to be super thick because it'll take a lot longer to dry and it'll be a little bit bumpy. And the main way that you control the thickness of the paper is how much water is in there. So if you have a lot of water, there's going to be fewer paper fibers in any given area, and so you're going to pick up less with the screen. So I'm letting it drip for a little bit, and then I take it and I flip it over onto here, and I lift my other towel over here, right? So I'm going to take this, I'm going to press down, and this is just to get as much water as I can out of here. And it's important when you do this that you do flip the screen upside down, because that way you're pressing it onto the towel instead of onto the screen. Because if you press it onto the screen, it's not going to want to come off. And let's see. Okay. And there we go. We have a nice, a very nice little square of paper. We can't remove it right now because it's so wet that it's very delicate. If I can get another one. Right, so you can make a lot of paper this way with a little bit of newspaper. I tore up less than one. It was just like 2 or 3 maybe sheets of newsprint. But you do, so you let these dry. These are ones that I made about 4 o'clock yesterday, and they're still a little bit damp. Right, so it lightens up when it dries. And see, and you can write on this. Here's a piece of the dried foley that I wrote on. I said hello. So it's not as nice as writing on industrially made paper, but it is a really cool craft, and you get you know, something tangible that you made yourself that you can be proud of at the end. So that's what I have for you guys today. Happy Chinese New Year.